The evening had been unusually calm. Warm, golden lights glowed softly across the penthouse kitchen, while the quiet sounds of chopping vegetables and boiling soup filled the air. You stood beside the counter wearing simple home clothes, your sleeves rolled slightly above your wrist as you prepared dinner with Hari. The atmosphere almost felt peaceful for once, dangerously peaceful. Harry placed freshly washed vegetables on the counter and sighed softly. Ara ate too much chocolate today again. She shook her head lightly while wiping her wet hands on the towel hanging near the sink. You chuckle quietly, cutting carrots carefully. She gets that from her mom. You smiled faintly while glancing towards the dining table. At the dining table, little Ara sat swinging her legs happily while sipping her chocolate milk with a tiny mustache of coca above her lips. Mommy said chocolate makes people happy, Ara said proudly, lifting her glass with both hands while smiling brightly. Harry laughed sarcastically. Your mom also gives everyone headaches, she muttered teasingly while stirring the soup. Ara gasped dramatically. "No," she went while pouting adorably. You smiled watching them, but your mind kept drifting elsewhere, towards Jungkook, towards the truth, towards the fear sitting constantly in your chest. Meanwhile, in someone's cottage inside your room, Jungkook sat curled near the window with a thick book in his hands. Like always, he stayed quiet and distant from the rest of the world, turning pages slowly while the soft sound of rain outside filled the silence around him. Back Harry suddenly spoke softly while arranging plates. Do you, do you think things will really change? She glanced at you carefully, lowering her voice. Your hands paused slightly. I don't know. You admitted quietly, looking down at the knife in your hand before continuing to cut vegetables slowly. Harry sighed softly. I'm scared, she whispered, her eyes filled with worry as she looked towards the staircase instinctively. Before you could answer, ding dong, the sudden sound of the doorbell echoed through the penthouse. Both of you froze for a second. Harry frowned slightly. At this hour, she muttered, wiping her hands quickly before walking towards the entrance. You continued standing in the kitchen, but your eyes followed her nervously. Harry opened the main door carefully and froze. A man stood there wearing a black hoodie and cap, raining droplets still visible on his shoulders. He lowered his cap slightly and spoke politely. Is Wine here? His voice remained calm as his eyes searched behind Harry. Harry blinked in confusion first. Who are you? She asked cautiously while tightening her grip on the door. The man removed his cap slowly. Min Yoongi, he answered simply, bowing his head slightly. Ari's eyes widened instantly. Before she could even react properly, you stepped into the hallway. The moment your eyes landed on Yoongi, you froze completely. Yoongi, you whispered in shock, staring at him nervously. Yoongi looked exhausted, his expression serious. I need to talk to you, he said quickly, while glancing around the hallway cautiously. Your heart started racing immediately. Are you crazy? He whispered harshly, stepping closer to him. If anyone sees you here, you stopped abruptly because suddenly you heard footsteps upstairs, light slow descending down the staircase. Your eyes widened in panic without thinking. You immediately grabbed Yoongi's wrist tightly. Come with me, you whispered urgently, pulling him inside before he could respond. Yoongi stumbled slightly as you dragged him quickly through the hallway towards the servant's room, hidden near the back corridor. Harry instantly understood the situation and quickly shut the main door. Just then, Susie walked downstairs lazily while fixing her earrings, completely unaware of what had just happened. Who was it? She asked casually, glancing towards Harry suspiciously. Harry's heart nearly stopped, but she forced herself to remain calm. Someone was asking for Penthouse 21, Harry replied nervously while forcing a laugh. 12 and 21 kinda look similar. She scratched the back of her neck awkwardly. Susie narrowed her eyes slightly. Seriously, she muttered while looking towards the entrance. Harry nodded quickly. Yeah, he apologized and left immediately. she replied, trying her best to sound natural. For a moment, Susie just stared at her silently, making Harry's nervousness worse. Then finally, Susie shrugged casually. Whatever, she muttered dismissively. She glanced around once before asking again. Where's Aura? She adjusted her pose on her shoulder while looking towards the dining area. Harry quickly answered. She's in the playroom. She pointed towards the hallway immediately. Susie nodded absent-mindedly. I'm going to party with JUNGKOOK tonight, she said while checking herself in the mirror nearby. Take care of Aura until we return, she added casually before walking back upstairs. Harry watched her disappear upstairs, and only after the bedroom door closed upstairs she finally released the breath she had been holding, her trembling hands pressed against her chest.